Alright, so what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, man. It's your boy, and as you can see, the ASGARDIAN mid-month patch is live. I picked up all three of the new uniforms. I've been testing them out for the past couple hours, and I wanted to give you guys my first impressions on all of the uniforms, and then I'm gonna give you guys individual videos on them later today, so look out for that. Just want to give you guys my overall first impressions on all of them first, in case you're itching to buy something. I want to let you know what I think about them so far. So let's jump right into it. Also, I want to give you my thoughts on THENA as well, because she got a big buff. She is way better than what she was just a few days ago. Well, to be honest, just yesterday. Okay, so let's start off with Heimdall. So we know Heimdall has no heal in his kit based on the patch notes, and in order to get a heal for the character, you're going to need to pick up his artifact. So that's going to require you doing some gambling or using your artifact selector from the Black Friday store to pick up his artifact. Will I advise you to do that? Probably not. Based on my testing, Heimdall seems like he's going to be the only character from this update that's not meta. Okay, he's strong, especially for a character that doesn't have a heal. He feels especially tanky, and I believe that is due to his leadership, because when I was testing him, I was using him with his own leadership, and because of that, he actually does really well against Null. He has the ignore dodge from his leadership, and then he also has ignore dodge from his passive. So going into a fight against Null, he has 70% ignore dodge. That actually helps his DPS. He has some defenses coming from his leadership too. That's pretty good. And then he also removes all debuffs based on his uniform. So he's actually quite tanky. You would think he would be very flimsy, especially if you put him on a stage with lots of environmental hazards like the bleed, the blade twister, the hits from Null and whatnot, but he shrugs off the debuffs so regularly that it doesn't seem to affect him too much to not have the heal. However, once you get to really high stages, he's gonna need that heal. So if you want to play with him long term, you're gonna need to think about investing in his artifacts. I'll show you, well, his artifact. Anyways, I'll show you his uniform options here in case you plan to pick up the uniform for yourself and get it to Mythic. The first uniform is Ronin. Ronin at this point is just a leadership. This is not a meta uniform. Baron Zemo is kind of meta because he uses leadership for the human speed supervillain tag in the Vibranium League. Next one is actually Black Bolt. That's not meta. Black Bolt is basically just a leadership for Medusa, and nobody really uses Medusa like that anymore. So the options here so far are not looking that good. And then we got America Chavez, again, another character that's basically just a leadership and just an AC character at this point. She's okay when it comes to DPS and survivability, but she's not that great. So looking at the options here, there's 4 options in this that most of you guys would probably not want to buy. Right, so that really sucks. The last one is really good, which is Super Giant. So 4 to 5 options for Heimdall, really bad. If looking at the uniforms, this one has the worst options by far. Really sucks. Playing with Heimdall, he seems quite proc friendly when you have him at tier 2. However, his DPS at tier 2 is lackluster. I believe if you're going to pick up this uniform for Heimdall, you're going to want to transcend him. So if you don't plan to transcend Heimdall, don't pick up this uniform, because at tier 2 he's okay, but he's not like exceptional, right? At tier 2 I was playing with him when I was using this rotation right here. So if you have him at tier 2 with this uniform, you can try it yourself. I was going 4 cancel and then proccing on 5. I really like his new skills. They're very flashy. The 4 summons this barrier around him and gives him a buff. And then the 5, let me just move him over here. The 5 actually has him slashing, and then he summons the spear from Asgard. There's a stabbing of the enemy. It looks really cool. His 3 actually does decent damage as well. So if you want to go something like 4, then proc on 5, and then use the 3 skill to follow up, that's actually not a bad idea. The 2 skill does okay damage, but it's not really that great. So the 3 skills I would rely on a tier 2 would be 4, 5, and then 3 when the proc has landed on the 5 and you're looking for something to fill the gap until your next rotation. I have him awakened, so what I've been doing with him is actually going 4, 5, cancel, right into 6, because the 6 has a really long wind up. So I ideally would have liked to be able to do 4 cancel, 6 delay cancel, and then proc on 5 once you see the rainbow start there, but it's just not realistic with a regular damage proc. I would say 9 out of 10 times if you try to delay the 6 and then proccing on 5, you're gonna miss your proc. You could try it, but it's gonna result in you having to restart and do a whole bunch of shenanigans over and over to try and get the proc to line up properly. So in order to be as consistent as possible with him, what I found to be the case is just going forward, cancel 5, cancel proc on 6, and then after 6 I would go ahead and after the proc is fully played out on 6, I would go ahead and then use the 3rd skill. Okay, I found him to work best at well, I was gonna say at tier 3, but when you transcend him, I found him to be actually worth transcending for me, but definitely not meta by any means. The build I have on him right now is not anything crazy. I'll give you guys some gameplay with him. He has a 180 proc, and I gave him some 6-star ooze with crit rate, and this is what his stats currently look like. Again, I'll give y'all some gameplay with him later today, so look out for that. Next up is Sif. Now, honestly, I'm kind of disappointed with Sif's DPS so far, but I will invest a little bit more in the character to see if I can get better results with her. I jumped the gun on her and gave her a CTP of Rage, and that's because I wanted to see if she was ABX meta for today. However, it looks like Crescent is still a little bit better than her, but I'm not too sure if that's just because of the fact that my cards, but then again, Crescent is a physical character. I was gonna say just because of my cards not being heavy on physical attack, but yeah, I am not too happy with Sif's DPS. Mine is looking a little weak, but she's way stronger than she was before. I'll tell you that for sure. She looks a little bit stronger than Heimdall, but I believe a lot of you guys are going to relegate this character to just being a support because of her uniform bonus, making sure that she gives you, as you can see right there, all speed to allies, but more importantly, increasing the basic damage that you do to boss type by 45%. She's quite strong now, and she has a heal and everything, so that's really good. The rotation that I've been using with her is actually going 3 and then proccing on 5. That's without the awakened skill, right? I'll show you 2 rotation, proccing on 5 and then doing 4. The 4 doesn't do nearly as much damage as I would like, so that kind of sucks. You definitely want to use 3 cancel, by the way. You don't want to let the 3 skill play out, because the 3 skill, even though it has these 3 attacks there, they don't do nearly as much damage as you would like if you were going to proc on them. So 3 cancel, proc on 5. 5 does really good damage, lots of hits, as you can see, and then I go ahead and I proc on the 4 skill. When it comes to the awaken skill rotation, for me, I go 3 cancel, get the buff on 5, and then proc on 6. Now, some people are gonna tell you to do some goofy stuff like, oh, going 3, then delay cancel after you see the rainbow and then proccing on 5. But just like with Heimdall, my friends, if you try to go 3 and then delay cancel, look at that, there's like 30 hits before you even can cancel out of the 6 skill to go into the 5. So that's just not realistic. Honestly, it's not. So for me, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go 3, delay cancel, get the buff from the 5, and then just go into the 6, proc on the 6, and then after the 6 is over and we're waiting for it to come off cooldown again, I'm gonna go 3, then 5, proc on the 5, and then follow up with the 4, and then just keep repeating that rotation until my 6 skill is off cooldown again. Sif might become ABX meta if I can figure out how to play her, I guess, better. But for now, she's looking like she might be a little bit stronger than Valkyrie, or she might just be relegated to just being a support for Crescent. Remains to be seen where she's going to be. This is what her uniform options currently look like. Daredevil is pretty good. I would still consider this uniform to be meta. Next one is Namor. Namor is off meta. Definitely not a uniform I would recommend that you guys buy these days. I don't use it at all. Next one is Vision. Vision, I would say he's kind of meta. Vision is pretty good. Next one is Doctor Strange. I don't really use Doctor Strange that much, but if you're playing timeline survival, it's not the worst thing in the world. The next one right here is Ghost Rider. I would say Ghost Rider is still a meta uniform, or some people might say off meta, but it's still a strong uniform. So it's not a bad one to pick up, and it'll give you some physical attack for your Sith. Moving on, let's talk about Hela. Now this one was actually quite shocking. So everyone was thinking, because of the artifact for Hela, giving her the null type passive that allows her to be immortal for 7 seconds, that she was going to be a PvP character, coupled with her uniform bonus, making it so that she does 50% more damage to superheroes. I was thinking, okay, so they're trying to turn Hela into a PvP character, but that's actually not the case, because none of her skills, her 1 through 5, actually have iframe ignore. She has this counter attack ability, but unlike some of the other counter attacks that we've seen in the past, like Silver Surfer, Wolverine, just to give you an example, right, Daredevil, that has iframe ignore, this skill does not have iframe ignore. So a lot of times you'll find it that if you use Hela in PvP, she'll be standing around when people are in their iframe, and you'll actually get her killed. She's not doing as well. She can tank a good bit against heroes because of the damage reduction and stuff, but she's just not doing well in terms of like being able to consistently kill them. She can get a killer 2 against Sentry specifically because he's a hero and she has that big damage bump against him and also the damage reduction, but she's just not doing as well as I would have liked her to do in PvP. And at tier 2, her damage was lackluster. I was not seeing big DPS from her, but here's the thing. Her tier 3 kind of reminds me of Doctor Doom. For one, her tier 3 is one of the coolest tier 3s in the game. Okay, let me build up the tier 3 really quickly here. By the way, you're gonna need multiple rotations to get her tier 3 built up. You can't get it up every other rotation, so that's one bummer for Hela. But let me turn on the SFX right here so you can see her tier 3. It is one of the coolest tier 3s in the game in terms of the visuals. Just look at this. Look at this. She comes in riding on, I don't even know what that is, a dead serpent, right? It looks really freaking cool. But besides the looks, because aesthetics is one thing, bro, but aesthetics can get you wins and kills and all that stuff. This skill hits really hard. I'm talking like really hard. I'm talking Doctor Doom type numbers from the tier 3. Her skills 1 through 5, they don't hit that hard. So when you're using her, do keep in mind that if you're buying this uniform for Hela, yes, she's gonna be a great support character for PvP against heroes, but her value as a DPS is going to be heavily reliant on her tier 3 skill. If you don't like playing with characters that put everything on their tier 3, Hela is not going to be for you. What I mean by that is you'll be using her, she'll be doing like no damage really on her basic skills, and then you just put up your 3 skill before your tier 3, you pop your tier 3, and then you just see like freaking 10-15 bars fly off the boss, right? Because she does so many hits and she has the chain hit damage, and that skill just wrecks people, right? So she's kind of an all or nothing type character. You could give her raids to make sure you never miss your proc on your tier 3, but the rotation for the tier 3 is simply just hitting the 3 to max out your accumulation, because her tier 3 is not an iframe, so anything that the boss does after you hit your tier 3 is gonna hit you, and then once that hits you, you're gonna do a boatload of damage. So do keep that in mind. Hela right now at tier 2, the value just isn't there, but at tier 3, it's nutty. Okay, absolutely nuts. The rotation that I've been using with her is 4, and then we'll let that play out fully. Then we'll go 3 and then go into 5 so that you get hit, because the damage accumulation is based on the damage you take. You don't want to use 3, 4, 5 just because you don't want to put up the damage accumulation, then jump into a full iframe. Nothing can really hit you. By the way, don't cancel out of your forward skill until you see her slam this thing down, because you can see it leaves a residual pool of dark energy that's just like hitting the enemies over and over. So for me, I go like this, pop, and then I go 3, and then we go 5. 5 has a little gap in there where she's trying to like stab the enemy or like grab the enemy by the neck or whatever, right? So you can take some damage there, but you're gonna notice that in World Boss Ultimate she doesn't do that well. because she's constantly paralyzing and mind controlling people or whatever. Whereas in World Boss Legend, she can't do that. So yeah, she's gonna take a lot more damage, and she's gonna do a lot more damage because you're gonna go something like 3 and then 6, and 6 is not an iframe. They made sure that 6 is not an iframe, and you're just gonna do a boatload of damage because there's just a lot of hits on it. So yeah, hella monster of a character at tier 3. Looking forward to playing with her a lot more and giving her a CTP of energy to try her out. So these are the uniform options. Falcon is a good one. We know he's meta right now. Domino is kind of trash. She's not really good for anything except Shadowland, but she's in a lot of other uniforms, so it's not a terrible option to pick up. If you pick it up, you're gonna get extra attack for your Hela, but Domino is in like 15 different uniforms. So if you were missing her for uniform options, I guess it's not a bad one to pick up because it will give you extra stats for a lot of characters. Scarlet Witch is currently ABX meta, but she might be getting replaced. I'll talk to you guys about that in a sec. So do keep that in mind. Scarlet Witch might very well be getting replaced on Saturday. Moving on, we have War Machine. It is not the good War Machine uniform, so that is terrible. And then the last one here is Valkyrie. Now Valkyrie has even more competition for ABX, but Valkyrie is still a great support for stuff like Dispatch and Dimension Rift. So it's not a bad uniform to pick up because it buffs her support ability, okay? So yeah, let's jump and talk about THENA. Athena. But with and without the uniform, I've noticed a big bump for the character offensively and defensively. They finally gave this character a heal. It's a 20% heal every 7 seconds. It's beautiful. They bumped up her damage accumulation from 0.6 to 1%, which is very good. That's a big increase. I'm noticing about 30 to 45% more DPS out of the character. So that's really good. She was already I would say very good because of the additional peers, but she just was not doing well enough to stay alive. Now that she has the heal, I noticed a big improvement. I was talking to some of the boys from the Alliance and some people on Discord, and I believe Sky already is able to clear stage 39 against Mephisto with her, which is really good, because before she was not doing well enough to stay alive on like the 20s against any World Boss Legend because of her survivability just being pure dookie. So now that you can use her and she can heal herself, not relying on any strikers or nothing, she's actually doing way more damage, doing a lot better staying alive, and actually getting high stage clears. That's really good. And now that her accumulation is higher than ever, she's actually a contender for ABX. Let me give you some tips here. One major tip is do not cancel out of her tier 3. Do not cancel it before the time. Make sure you proc on her tier 3 with this 100% damage proc. I've noticed that if you proc on the tier 3, you get a lot more damage than you were getting before. Okay, so absolutely do not cancel out of her tier 3 skill. Anyways, with that being said, ladies and gents, I'm not going to hold you too long. Let me know what your thoughts are on the uniforms and THENA so far. I personally, I'm loving this mid-month patch. I'm going to bring you guys some more content, so be on the lookout for that later today. All right, with that being said, you guys stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.